Alright, so the goal here is to create a TB303 using VCV Rack and then incorporate that strongly into our workflow in Ableton as a viable production tool. So there's two things that we need to connect the two. It's the use of the IAC driver for MIDI and the use of loopback audio to route the audio. So here we go. Start by going to Live, opening up a new set, opening up the preferences. Go to the MIDI tab and make sure that you have the output for the ISC driver set to on for track and on for remote. We really only need track, but turn those on. All right, we don't need sync. In the past, we've used sync as the ISC driver output, but today we're not going to for certain reasons that we don't need to get into right now. Might get into it later, but make sure track is on. All right. So in Live on a MIDI track, create a new clip. Now I like to have my piano roll real big. It means I can see everything that's going on and I don't have to scroll around like that. So once you've created your MIDI clip, try making your MIDI piano roll really big and placing a single note on C3. And then if you want to get out of that view, hold Shift and Tab and you switch back. It's really nice and fast. So now we can play that MIDI note. And then we can see that our note has been created. We want to set the MIDI 2 out to the ISC driver. And then if we head over to Rack, we have, this is our new template, create a new one if you haven't already. And then we have our MIDI to CV input, select core MIDI as the device, and as the driver, and the ISC as the device. And we should see notes being triggered here when they're being triggered here. Before we do our audio output, one thing that's really key to this is making sure that the audio settings in both Rack and Live are the same and as low as possible. So by low, I mean the lowest sample rate that you can select. Here it's locked at the moment, and the lowest block size or buffer size I have available to me in Rack is 64. So let's do this. Let's select. Now we're going to use loopback a lot. So in order to make this work, we still need to select a driver or a device in Rack and Live. For both of those, just select your computer's speakers. We're going to bypass it anyway. You might hear it coming through my microphone at the moment. And then set the buffer size or the block size to as low as possible and make note of what it is. So this says 44.164. In Live, I'm going to do the same. Preferences. My, ignore that, but my output is going to be speakers as well. And my sample rate is 44.1 and my buffer size is 64. Great. Now we need a route. I'm going to press stop. The MIDI is going one way and the audio is going out of speakers. We want to route the audio from Rack back into Live using Loopback. So open Loopback. Yeah, I have two devices here on the left. That's because I'm recording, but you'll only have one and it'll be like this. And if you need to, you can delete the device down the bottom and then create a new device. I just need to fix this up because of showing you that. That's okay. Oh yeah. So just don't worry about that. We are focusing on this one. Yours will look like this. And then as a source, you want to add Rack, which will be under the running applications here. So now you'll notice that when we play from Live, the audio is going to Rack now. And I think you're hearing that because of my recording setup, but you might not hear it at this point because what you'll need to do next is go into Live and then I'm going to press stop, go into Preferences, and then Audio Inputs. You need to select the loopback device. Now I've got two here because one's for recording, but you'll only have one, hopefully. Select that as your input. And then on an audio track, you should be able to select or run it and see it coming through here. You could go in stereo and then set this to maybe record or input monitoring. Now I'm hearing it twice, but you won't be. And there we go. Fantastic. So that is the setup. Again, slightly more complicated because I'm trying to film this as well with my microphone. So that's what the second loopback is for, but yours should only look like this. You could even delete this pass-through object, I believe. Oh, that's because there's a rack here. Oh no, loopback. I don't know why it's showing the rack icon, but yeah, yours will just be this. Hopefully, that's given you a bit of insight into how to send MIDI from live to rack and then receive the audio from rack into live. All right, more in the next video.